Okay, so I finished How You Grow Wings. I decided not to DNF it because when I went and I opened the Kindle, the book was still open. And as I was going to click out, I noticed I was already at 8% and there was only 41 minutes left in the book. So I decided to just finish it. And I finished it. I'm giving it 3 stars. Even though this is a contemporary story, I was like reading the book and it didn't feel like anything was happening because when I DNF'd it and when I was going to DNF it and I was at 80%, like before I realized I was at 80%, I thought I was like at 50% or something. So I read so much and I didn't feel like I was actually seeing anything happening. It's the same as before. I didn't have any real connection to the characters, or I didn't feel anything either positive or negative for the characters. The story started off dark, a little bit dark, continued with like heavy themes, but I still wasn't feeling anything for the story. So that's why it's a 3 star, because it's kind of just average. But that's where I'm at now. It is currently Monday, or technically Tuesday, because it's 1:52 in the morning. But that's not important. And I have 2 books left of my actual classes. And then if I finish those before the week is up, then I'm going to try and see if I can do like one side quest. I don't know. We'll see. I have an unreasonable amount of hope for myself, but I have 2 classes left. I'm currently in the middle or past the middle because I'm at 62% of one book, and that is A Botanist's Guide to Flowers and Fatality. I didn't realize when I requested this, hold on, my arm is hurting. I didn't realize when I requested this that this was a sequel to another book. Like I heard the title of the other book after I was already granted the arc, but then I thought this one was the first one and that wasn't the second one. NetGalley is not good. Like with some books, it's not good at making it explicitly clear that this is not the first book in a series, because it happened to me before. I requested a book and I got approved, and as I'm about to start it, I realized it was the 4th book in a series. So, and there was nothing mentioned in the description. Like sometimes on NetGalley they will say, oh, in the follow-up to so and so, or in the 3rd book to so and so, but then sometimes it just doesn't. And and like the description sounds like the first book because there's nothing like talking about what happened in the past, whatever. But this is the 2nd book in a series and it's like a mystery. So I thought it would be one of those where like it's the same main character and the books are in one series but the events are not connected at all. I thought it would be that. It's not that. But the events of the book before this are not so very important that I would be confused reading the 2nd book, because the 2nd book is like a whole different mystery. But there's still callbacks and mentions of events in the 1st book that I don't know what they're talking about. But context clues, I can pick it up. And originally I was thinking when I finish this I could go back and read the 1st book, but this book from like the very first page has spoiled the ending of the 1st book, so I don't really want to do that and I don't really care. Plus I'm pretty sure there's like a romance going on in this book, but there's also like something going on in the 1st book apparently based on what I'm seeing, and I don't want to see an endgame romance in this and then go back and see development for another romance that nothing's gonna come to fruition, you know. So that's where I'm at, and then I have one more book, The Wolf of Orniaro, to read, and then I would have passed this semester. So that's where I'm at right now. Okay, so last night after the updates about a botanist's guide to flowers and fatality, I read some more, and then I stopped at 71% in frustration because remember how I was talking about how it was the 2nd book and I didn't know, and I said I wouldn't go back because apparently there's like some romantic development in the 1st book that didn't look like it was going anywhere because there's a whole new love interest in the 2nd book that I'm rooting for. Love interest from the 1st book came. Like he's on like in Africa or somewhere exploring some jungle, and this is set in like 1930s, 1940s, something like that. I don't know. So, and they're in England. So I'm thinking this man is gonna stay away and it's just gonna be like a pen pal situation for this book. Then the man show up when there was just something was just going to happen with the main character, with the two main characters, because both of them have like POVs, right? It's mostly her POV, but he has some POVs too. So like something's just about to happen. There was a little bit of development between the girl is called, I forgot her name, Saffron. It's quite the name. And then the guy is called Lee. So there's something just happened with Saffron and Lee, and then boom, with name Ashton or something. Him show up out of nowhere. Like, sir, you're supposed to be in Africa or where the frick you were. And him just show up. And I was like, you know what? I can't do this tonight. I can't handle this tonight. So I stopped reading. But I will be continuing and finishing it tonight. Because I'm going to even finish it. And then, because The Wolf of Orniaro is a fantasy book. And I'm pretty sure it's like at least 600 pages. I don't know. But I need all the time I have to finish that. I'm not going to take me long to read. It's probably not going to take me that long. But I am going to finish The Botanist Guide to Flowers and Fatality tonight. So that's how that's going. Well, let me explain my feelings on the book so far. I am really liking it so far. The mystery is interesting. The characters are not as involved in the actual detective work as I thought they would be, because they are working with the police department, and the police department seems to be handling most of the case, because what they're investigating is the murder of 3 women, and they seem to be connected based on bouquets that the 3 women have gotten. They're different bouquets, but all of them are filled with poisonous flowers, and that's where Saffron came in, because she's a botanist and that's what she studied. That's what she's like, has her degree or whatever in. So she was initially called in by the detective or something, sergeant, who was in charge of the case, because of her expertise that they realized, that they found out about when she poked her nose into the investigation in the previous book, because apparently she wasn't supposed to be doing that in the previous book. But he came to the university, to her office, and he asked her, what does she know about these flowers, what does she think they mean, whatever, and then she gives her 2 cents, and then she decides she's going to keep investigating. And the police officer, the detective, he kind of tells her no, but he also lets her do it. So now she and Lee are getting involved in the lives of the friends of the first victim to try and find out information on the first victim, to find out why she was murdered, or what the flowers meant for her. And they're not really investigating the second victim or the third victim. So they're not really doing all of that. So police officers are the ones that are doing most of it. So it's not what I was expecting, but I'm not disappointed. Yeah, so the mystery detective situation that they are actually doing, I'm enjoying it. Saffron and Lee, them kind of relationship, them flirtation. Saffron go on like she don't like him, but everybody knows. Well, she initially wasn't feeling any romantic feelings towards him, but she didn't hate him. And I'm rooting for them, which is why I'm so upset when Ashton or Asher, whatever name, show up out of nowhere. So, yes. Mystery, I'm liking. Romance, I'm liking. The characters themselves, they're pretty entertaining. So, it's looking good. Okay, so I'm 30% into The Wolf of Orniaro, and I'm struggling. I'm really struggling, because the series is titled The Chronicles of the Bitch Queen, right? And in the very first line, the main character Tally or something like that tells us that they call her the Wolf of Orniaro, they call her the Bitch Queen, whatever, yada yada yada. And from the introduction, from the reputation the book has, from the cover art, I'm thinking, okay, this character is going to be like a, harsh, biting character. I'm not gonna take any shit from anybody. She's not like, she's a queen, she's a bitch queen. I'm expecting her to like decapitate people disrespecting her and things like that, right? And she references situations that very often, and her, like, from 30% in, the book starts with her going to some foreign country to meet with her husband who abandoned her when they were supposed to be crowned, who she hasn't heard from in 5 years. And they're walking around this foreign place, and she is like anybody she's speaking with, and when she senses disrespect, she brings up the fact that, oh, back in her country she would have had their head, and her guards, anytime she's walking around with her guards and somebody comes up and bumps into them, they always mention, oh, the queen will have their head, or back in wherever them come from, you know, I would have your head, whatever, whatever. But like, she's not backing that up at all. Because in the place where she was staying in originally, she was like in a guest of some lord, in some lord's house or something, from what I understood. At this point, I was already annoyed with her, so I wasn't picking up every single detail. But there was a situation where the lord's wife came into the bathhouse when she was in there, and that is seen as disrespectful, right? But she doesn't do anything about it, and she realizes that the people in this country take her rule and like her people as a joke. They don't have as harsh of a reputation as she thinks they do, and she doesn't do anything about it. And then she gets lost without her guards, and she's terrified. She's asking people for help and getting upset when they don't have any manners, but not doing anything about it. She's walking away, she's shaking, all kind of thing. But and like, that would have been fine if she hadn't introduced herself as saying, oh, they call her the bitch queen, they call her the wolf of Warrior, she has a reputation of being so harsh, whatever, whatever, whatever. And even if she was going to be called the bitch queen, if it hasn't started with the introduction, and we started out with this character that we're seeing here, who is very much not living up to the reputation that we got in the very first line, and like after she's abandoned, because in the synopsis they said she's going to be abandoned completely, but she hasn't been yet, because when she got lost, she found them back, obviously, for it to continue. But like, she's apparently going to get abandoned in the country after this. And if it was that when she gets abandoned, her character evolves into becoming the bitch queen that we keep hearing about, that would have been fine. But that's not what it is, and she's not living up to the reputation she initially told me about in the first line. So I'm a bit disappointed, and I'm very frustrated reading through her POV, because she keeps building herself up to be this type of character that her actions are not showing. It's like when you read a book and you hear the antagonist is so scary, so evil, nobody wants to fight them, and then you're not seeing that actually happen, except you're not hearing about a villain who is so big and brawling and bossy. It's the main character whose head you are in, so you're seeing the contradictions play out page after page after page. I'm like, I don't want to DNF the book, because I only have like a couple days until the readathon is up, and I want to succeed. But also, everybody is hyping this book, this series up, and I want to love it too. And to be fair, I only am 30% in this book, but 30% is a lot, and I'm already feeling very frustrated. So we're gonna see if this main character lives up to the hype that, once again, she told us about in the very first line of the book. But okay, that's all I have to say for now. It's Friday. Yeah. Okay, so I have an update for the Wolf of Orniaro. Technically, I'm cheating because it is 1:57. So it's technically May 1st and the readathon is finished. But we're not going to talk about that. As long as the sun don't come up. You know, sunrise is not the new day yet. So I'm 82% it's the Wolf of Orniaro. I'm confused and I'm upset. Because I'm struggling to figure out why reviewers that I trust and whose tastes more than not align with mine, and if not, it's just like a small disparity. I'm struggling to figure out why they're giving this book 5 stars, because at the point where I am right now, it's a 1.5 or 2 star, because I am so upset like at the character, at the book, because first of all, as I said, the main character Tally, she's pissing me off, because we have found out that she left her country in Jin Saying, I want to say that's where it's from, that's what it's called, to come to this country to meet with the husband who left her with no word for 5 years. And she's coming to this country that her country does not have a good relationship with, to meet with this man. and she's doing it because she still loves him, right? That's already like something I'm like, okay, she's been a little bit desperate, but right, I'm like, okay, she's doing what she's doing, whatever. Then no, there's all kind of something assassin coming out. She don't know if her guards betray her, if them get killed. She don't know who to trust or whatever. And she's getting kidnapped and she's escaping. She gets kidnapped again. She escaping. She get tricked into something. She kills somebody. She get tricked again. She kills somebody else. And it's like, what is going on? Because speaking like to focus on the husband that she's in love with, every like these are always a pattern. Like from the assassins came like way in the beginning of the book, from that original assassination attempt, and she ran away. Her first and only thought was she needs to save her husband, and she's saying like sometimes she will say in her head because she needs to carry him back to her country so that they can rule together, but other times she's talking about how she still love him, but other times she's talking about how she promised her son to bring his father back, but then she's like going through cycling these three reasons, right? So then she's saying she needs to rescue the husband, but then she find out say something about like the husband betray her in some instance. Then she says she get over that in like 2 sentences. Then she needs to save the husband again. Then we get a flashback to why the husband not worth nothing, and she said I never married him in the first place. And then she said she needs to save him again. And then she found out saying betray her in a whole different way. And she gets over it again. And she needs to save him. Like, why are you running after this man? What is so good about this man that you want to save him so bad? Because we're getting all these flashbacks to before they were married, to when they were growing up. And the man don't wear shit. She should have never married the man in the first place. There's nothing about the man to love because she's describing how he's so boring, how him don't know how to talk to people, him barely give her any affection, him don't treat her with respect, whatever, but yet she fall in love with him. Why? 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 And then I'm also confused as to the state of her country, because we got these chapters or these scenes in some flashbacks where she's walking. No, we got some scenes in the flashback where she's walking in ruins of her country where nobody's living currently, when she was talking about when she went with her best friend for something to go look for some dragons that are mentioned offhandedly 1 or 2 times in the book, right? So her country poor, and then she go to this foreign country and she's looking how even the city that she's in, even though that's a relatively poor city, them still have better facilities than her country. So once again, the country poor, but now we're past 50% and she's getting into some different situation, some other kidnapping situation, and she's with the fifth son of the emperor of this country, and suddenly trading with her country is such a lucrative business. And I'm like, I thought y'all were poor. And then now she find out say some other betrayal happening, and she have to go back to somebody who she was in some, like, let me just say, I'm going to be spoilers right here because there's no way to express my frustration without giving you spoilers. So after the initial assassination attempt, the first one, she gets a cut in her leg and then she get rescued by this woman. Find out that the woman owns a brothel, and the woman trick her by saving her and getting her medical attention and food, and say that no, Tally owes the woman money and she has to be a prostitute to pay her back. And then she tricked this lord of the town that she was in originally into buying her or paying off all her debts so she can become his personal prostitute. And then she runs away from him. But now in 82%, she's back there. The guy, his name is Loban. And she's there again. Now everybody knows that she's queen because her country send words that she's missing, and they want them going to go fight to say who taking over the throne, and them going to kill her son and And I'm not even making sense. But now she's there and she's trying to manipulate him into writing a letter to the official that she believes was manipulating her husband from the very beginning, because now that guy has banned ships from the country going back to the country that she's in now, going back to her country, and she's trying to get Loban to write a letter to that official, Governor something something, to allow him to get a ship to go to allow his ship to leave to travel to her country, and in order like to make the offer reasonable or something he would want, she's offering to open trades to the city again, to the country again, and she will be sending him letters that will make him years ahead of his competition in knowing what things are going to be traded with, and now he's going to be ahead in the business. Why would he want to trade with you? I thought you were poor. Like, in the beginning, we learn that these people do not take her country seriously. They don't take her rule like her rule as queen seriously. They're not intimidated by her because them regular treatment of criminals is worse than what she's apparently doing in her country, right? So them don't take her seriously. Our country poor. Them not have the things to decorate our castle the way all the regular town decorate. So why would they want to trade with you? Like, it's not making sense. The continuity is not there, right? And then speaking of continuity, what is her characterization? Because anytime a scene needs her to be a certain character, boom, she switches. Because 1 minute she's a mastermind, she can argue her way out of trouble, and she can see somebody's move. She can see people's move 5 steps ahead of what they are currently thinking. Then the next scene, she's naive so that she can get kidnapped, so that she can come become a tactician again to get herself away. And then she's kind, but then she's ruthless. What is she? Like, pick something and stay with it, because I'm sick and tired of your foolishness. What else is happening? She don't know who to trust, but then she trusts some random Jesus Christ. She don't know who to trust, but she met this con man in the beginning of the book, and they were working together, but she decides she don't need it no more, so she gonna run away. But him care about her, so he keep following her. I know they're working together, but she decide that she needs to go to the fifth son, the fifth son of the emperor, because 100 years ago his city and her country had a treaty, so she's hoping that the prince will help her save her husband. And then she immediately trusts the prince, and as soon as she starts trusting the prince, she ditched the con man. But then the prince end up orchestrate the original assassination or something like that, and she have to run away from him because him crazy and him want her to marry him. And then she just trust everybody, so, but she not trusting. What is her problem? Is she stupid? Yes, she is. And like, based on as I said, based on the first line of the book, based on the cover, based on what everybody who I heard talking about this book, I thought she was going to be a strong female character, not writing wise, as her characterization. She's a strong character, but like in the actual story, I'm thinking strong as in ruthless, as in sword woman, as in somebody who's going to fight her way out of anything, because she's the bitch queen and she's threatening decapitation every 5 seconds. But when it comes down to it, she's not doing any of that, because people are disrespecting her left, right, and bumbleclad center. And she's saying, back in my country, or a decapitator, or if I had my guards, they would be beating them up. Then do it, because they already don't have any respect for you. You're already in trouble. Your country is already threatening to go to war with them. What is stopping you from killing them right now? Because they might try. There's attempted sexual assault. She gets out of it by being a master tactician, or she gets somebody else help, but she don't do anything for herself. Back in like the amount of times the threat of somebody's head rolling on the floor, or your head going to be removed from your shoulder, or I'll have your head, the amount of time that times that threat has been used, if I was taking a shot every time that threat has been used or some variation of that threat has been used, I would be blackout drunk and I would have to get my stomach pumped at the hospital, because they just use it so many times and then they don't actually do it. So what's the point of threatening these people if you're not going to follow through? They already don't take you seriously, and then you're going to threaten them and then not do anything about it, let them do anything. It's not making any sense. It's not making any sense at all. And then she's striking up friendship with the con man kind, but then they're not friends and she don't need him. And then some childhood friend that she had like when the family just born, before she even get betrothed to the prince, and then she sent him away when the prince left her. Him show up back when he hear say she disappear in the country, and then them kiss. I'ma say, what is going on? Who she love? And then we are find out say, like, there's so much going on and it's not making any sense, and the only reason I have not DNF this book is because I want to pass the subject. And I technically already failed because it's May, but we're not gonna talk about that. So, like, I'm still stuck on why she loves this guy, because he has cheated on her, him disrespect her before they even get married, him disrespect her after the wedding day, him leave her and then picking her for 5 years, him allow all kind of like. And then I'm struggling to understand the betrothal in the first place, because now she's in the country. The crazy prince that originally orchestrated the assassination or something like that, we're not too sure because she's not focusing on that at all. Prince Ubeck, or Uebeck, I think that's how you pronounce it. He wants her to marry him, and then he mentions how her husband, Prince Rael or Lord Rael or whatever, the clan that he's from, that she married him to join the clans, there's only like 5 of them left or something, so they don't actually have any power, but the common people are rallying behind them. I'm trying to understand the power struggles that's going on, because they keep mentioning it offhandedly or in a throwaway comment in between 5 chapters or something, but everything I learn, sometimes it's a contradiction, sometimes it's adding something, but it's not making any sense. I'm not understanding what's going on, and because I'm so frustrated, I'm not going to try to understand. So I'm just gonna try and finish this book, because I'm not enjoying it. Like, even my rage is not entertaining. Sometimes I'll hate read a book because it's genuinely so amusing to me to hate the thing so much. Like, sometimes hate reading in itself is amusing. Like, my rage at certain points reading something I don't like can also be entertaining to me. But The Wolf of Yarrow, I'm not liking it at all. The main character, I'm not liking it. And also the side characters, they're not being fleshed out at all. Like, Kine is there, we're getting a couple details. He's probably the second most fleshed out character in the book, but there's still he's okay, and I like him more than her, but also not really, because why does he want to help her so bad? From the very beginning, he's saying, oh, he's only a nice person, oh, whatever, but I don't believe that shit. And like, I'm pretty sure there's not going to be any betrayal from him, but there's still no substantial reason for him to be so down bad for her. And it's not even like he's in love with her or anything right now, I don't assume, but he wants to help her so bad. He's going through hell and high water, he's risking his life, he's risking his family to save her from the very beginning. But why? Why? It's not making any sense. But that's all. I'm gonna try and finish this before at least 5 o'clock. It probably won't take me that long. I only have like what, 20% left? No, 15. I can do it. But that's, yeah. I'll see you soon.